welcome to Jitter Diaries. So in today's video, I will be showing you what I ate or some of what I ate during the first week of this challenge. And if you want any more details, you can check the description box. So this video's, vegan YouTube channel shout out goes to a channel called Sweet Simple Vegan. They make really nice beginner friendly recipes. So if you're starting out, do check them out. So for breakfast, I had some toast, some brown bread toast, and I just put some peanut butter over it. This is something I eat actually, vegan or not. And I added some avocado over. Some people find this combination disgusting, but don't knock it till you try it. And I just spread it over. I then sprinkled some chia seeds and some salt to taste, even though I didn't show the bit with the salt, but I did add just a bit of salt to taste as well. And to go along with this toast, I made myself a nice big cup of green tea, and this was my breakfast. So for lunch, I had soaked some brown beans overnight, and this is what it looked like. Everything had soaked up. And before I, began to cook it, I did rinse it about, twice just to, make sure it was clean. And this was a kg of brown beans, which ended up being way too much for me, even though I was meal prepping for a week. So I just cooked half, so about 500 grams of beans. I put it in a pot. Then filled that pot up with water and added 2 spoons of oil. So the beans was actually brown prior to me soaking it, in case you're wondering. I then went and cooked it for about 3 hours on medium heat, aka a brazier. Like beans on a brazier just cooks better, but that's what I did. So the next thing I did was I added about that was three portions or 3 big spoons of roller meal to make my NSHIMA, and I added a bit of water to make a paste, and it ended up being too much for a pot that size, so I should have just added like 1 scoop of roller meal. And it was a messy experience, very like I hadn't cooked NSHIMA in a long time, even though I eat it every day. Like I rarely cook it. So I then added some hot water, but then I realized that the pot was going to be too small, and then it wasn't, for me to get to the consistency that I needed it to be, I had to use a bigger pot. I soon realized. But yeah, I kept adding more water until we got to the type of runny consistency that I was going for. So I added it to another pot, but still it was too thick for me. I added a bit more water. And I was using a gas plate because we didn't have electricity at the time. But on a electric, top, I kind of know like what I'm working with. But the heat was too much and it was bubbling over. But I eventually got to that, and I left it cook until it had, shrunk and thickened, which was about 5 minutes. And then I got 1 scoop of roller meal to a ratio of 1 scoop of cassava, and that was about 3 scoops and 3 scoops of each. And then I incorporated it to make, this sort of batter. And then I added just 1 more scoop of roller meal, just so it could be thick enough. And I don't know about you, but watching someone Naya or cook in NSHIMA is just so satisfying. That makes me weird, but yeah, I love to see it. So I wanted my roller meal and cassava meal in NSHIMA to have this type of consistency, like just to be nice and thick. With breakfast meal, you can make it soft and you cook that way, but roller meal it's a bit tricky, and cassava, like while you're cooking it has to be kind of thick. I then asked my mom to check because she was going to eat this with me. I then covered it for about 2 more minutes, and because I was struggling with regulating, like the heat on this gas plate, the sides began to burn. So I was done. Like I just needed it for about 2 minutes and I was done. So that's just me showing you that I put some oil over my plastic spoon and also mixed it or put it in some water before serving or making my lumps. And then yeah, I just made lumps of NSHIMA. And then at this moment I realized that I should have cooked the NSHIMA last, but it was too late. So I just put it in a warmer in the meantime, you know, as I was cooking everything else. That is what it was looking like. I then added about 2 tablespoons of oil, 2 cloves of chopped garlic that I sauteed, and then I added a whole red onion. Then I tossed that or fried it until it was cooked. And then I got my beans that had been cooking on medium heat for about 3 hours. And then added my garlic and onion mix or fry, or stir fry. And then incorporated that. And then added my seasoning. So I got about 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of sea salt. And then I mixed all of that up and then took it back, you know, to the medium heat to the brazier to cook further for about 20 minutes. And at the end, this was the finished product. And out of everything I cooked for this video, actually my sister, shout out to my sister Sharon, she helped me out. This was really, really delicious. It was my favorite dish. Then moved on to the next thing, which was my impwa. So I added about 2 tablespoons of oil and 400 grams. I measured it for you. 400 grams of impwa that had been washed and, you know, chopped in this way. And I sauteed it until it, you know, had softened slightly, and then put it aside. And then I added just 1 tablespoon of oil with half of a chopped yellow onion that I sauteed for about a minute or so. And then I added 1 full chopped onion and continued to fry until it was like this. And then I added my impwa and fried it for a bit. I then added about a quarter of some green pepper. That's optional, you don't have to add that if you don't want to. And fried it some more. And then I added salt to taste. And that wasn't enough. So I added just a bit more. And once I was done, I covered it to cook on very low heat for about 2 minutes, and then I turned it off and put it aside. So the last thing I cooked for lunch was some spinach, and I poured hot water over the spinach. If you don't like soggy spinach, please, you can skip this step. It's perfectly fine. You know, just wash it and chop it and, you know, have it ready for cooking. But I poured some hot water over it and put it aside as I was, you know, frying my tomatoes and onions. Oh, and that was 400 grams of of spinach. So I added 2 spoons of oil, half of an onion, and 1 whole tomato. Then I cooked it for about 2 minutes, and I added the drained spinach. So if you weren't going to add hot water, like this is when you just put the spinach in directly if you don't want, you know, soggy spinach. It's perfectly fine. So after 2 minutes of, you know, it cooking, I, you know, removed the lid, cooked it a bit, you know, on like medium to low heat. And then I added some salt to taste. And then once I had added the salt, and stirred it a bit, I immediately turned off, you know, the heat, covered it, and put it aside, so as not to make the spinach look, you know, light green. And this was my final meal. It doesn't look glamorous or Instagram pretty, but it definitely tasted nice. So for dessert, because I was at my parents' house, I was visiting during the weekend, I opted to make some chocolate ice cream for everybody in the house, and these are the ingredients. I will leave details in the description box. And then I also used these brands for the dark chocolate and the salted peanuts. So that's vegan chocolate. So I added about 8 frozen bananas because there were 8 people in the house that day, and about 6 tablespoons of almond milk. I was supposed to have added 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder as well, but I forgot. So I used a food processor to just blend the almond milk and the bananas until it was nice and creamy. And then I added 1 pack of those salted peanuts I'd shown you earlier, which I chopped up a bit, and I realized that I forgotten the cocoa. So this is when I put the cocoa. So that was 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And then I just incorporated that, blended it until everything was mixed properly, even though the peanuts should have come after as just a topping. And then I added like a whole pack of that dark chocolate, which is about 80 grams, and about a handful of banana chips. When they say banana chips, which I pulsed it just a bit, just so they could spread out. And then because I had to leave, because I was visiting my parents, I didn't have time to freeze it. Like I needed to get going and head back to Chongwei. So I served it as it was, but I could have left it in the freezer for, a good hour or two. So this ice cream, the ice cream itself, like the base was really tasty, but no one liked the bitter dark chocolate. It was nobody's fave. And then even I think I went a bit too ham with the toppings. There was too many peanuts, too many banana chips, and no one except my 11-year-old nephew who likes everything said it was nice. So this ice cream was a fail, unfortunately. Then lastly was dinner. So for dinner, I wanted to go with a chicken theme or fake chicken theme anyway. So I got some tofu I bought earlier, I defrosted it, and then I decided to press it like everybody on YouTube says, where you add, some heavy books over it. And while that was, being pressed, I wanted to make a flax egg with those brown flax seeds. Absolute fail. I think I got the wrong kind, and I didn't know. Like I just got any type of flax seed. So I just got, some flax seeds and added water to it, and it was supposed to form an egg after 5 minutes, but it didn't. I then moved on to my cauliflower, and I just chopped it up to make, drumstick type of shapes. And then for my coating, I used this southern coating, and I measured about half a cup. Yes. And I added some spices to that, just to amp it up. So I added half a teaspoon of ginger powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, some paprika, some Italian seasoning, and I think a whole teaspoon of curry powder. And then I just mixed everything. I then realized that, nothing was happening with the flax egg and I needed to make a plan B. So, but before that, I checked on my tofu. I think an hour had gone by. So it had been pressed, I drained the water, but then there was still water coming out of it. So I just used my fingers to press out some more of that water. And I drained it, and then I tried to make chicken nugget like sizes, but everything was crumbling, sis. Oh bro, like it was crumbling. It was so sad. I felt defeated in that moment, but I carried on. So since the flax egg didn't work out, I looked up another way of, coating chicken or fake chicken. And I got a cup of almond milk and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to make a buttermilk, as I called it, and I put that aside for 5 minutes to let it curdle. I then used that, to help coat my cauliflower. So I heated up some vegetable oil and yeah, I fried the cauliflower. So initially I was really, really, really excited because it actually looked like chicken. It looked like chicken, but then the more that I fried it, because I did have to turn it, of course. Like I have a cheap pan, unfortunately, and the coating began to stick to the pan, which was so heartbreaking. But yeah, this cauliflower fake chicken thing is a whole lie, you guys. Like even after I was done and I tasted it, it was basically just cauliflower with delicious seasoning over it. Like your brain isn't getting tricked into thinking this is chicken. Like I didn't even know why I thought it would, but it's so hyped on YouTube, but it was an absolute fail. So anyways, I plated it. I was feeling really, really sad that night. And I was tired, like I had worked the next day, but I tried to like just go on. So with the tofu, I had intended to make chicken nuggets, but like I was tired, defeated. I just got the remainder of that coating, mixed it with the milk and apple cider vinegar, and then I opted or attempted to make like chicken, okay, tofu meatballs, even though like the whole theme of this was supposed to be chicken, so like fake chicken meatballs. So I just tossed all the tofu in, and I tried to just toss it so all the flavor would be incorporated. And then with the same vegetable oil that I had used for the cauliflower, because I honestly didn't have time. Like I needed to wrap up this meal. So I added scoops, hoping that they would make, bowls or something. And then while that was frying, I did get some pre-packed vegetables and heat it up. It was just a bit of water because I don't own the steamer, so just a bit of water. And then that was my tofu. Like everything was, it was a mash. It was a tofu mash. It was so sad. But I would turn it every 2 minutes or so, while trying to fry it, and this is what it ended up, looking like. I had to put paper towels underneath to just soak up all that oil, because otherwise it would have been way too greasy. And it was sad for me. Like I was really, really sad. But my brother did use this like a day later as like an egg alternative on toast, and he said it was really, really nice. And then I tried some, and he was right. Like it actually tastes okay. It was close enough to eggs on toast, so at least I didn't waste it. Then I just plated my dinner. So it was some leftover white rice with the vegetables I had steamed, the cauliflower, and that tofu. So I just wanted to show you what my brother's dinner looked like. So he made himself some egg fried rice with beef, and he tasted some of what I made, and his food looked so delicious. But I stayed disciplined despite the fail of my dinner. Like I was disciplined and I persevered and I ate my boring, dinner. So the next day I came home, and then my brother had fried me some soya pieces with a whole bunch of really, really nice seasoning, and I put that over some pasta and like greens, and it was really tasty. So thanks to him. And then he also made me vegan pancakes. This was like on a different day. And I was so chuffed. Like, thank you to my brother Chilu for being hella supportive. And he had just come to visit for a week. I honestly wish he could stay here longer. But during that week, so these are like, okay, those were non-vegan pancakes that he made. But he also made me these, which is very thoughtful. I bit into it like a savage here, but it's because I was excited at the moment and hungry. But I did add some, maple syrup over it, and they were very delicious. So thanks to my brother. And yeah, that is it for this video, and just a roundup of everything, I had cooked to show you during my first week. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.